Exegesis is the critical explanation or interpretation of a text, especially of scripture. As long as you stretch the framing of text to also include the medium of games, that would include Destiny 2, and would be a term to define what I'm doing right now. The importance of this definition, though, is to examine it within the context of the mission. Before we are able to begin, we listen in on a short conversation between Crow and Cayde. Crow likens the blight we were in to a physical manifestation of the witness's presence, much like a cancerous tumor. He then goes on to relay information we were previously told. The witness tries to tempt Crow. The exact specifics and methods are only known to him though. Due to the bond shared between the traveler and our ghost, they are able to feel the same pain, which in turn causes Crow to also feel some sort of regret. Out of our fireteam, Ikora holds the most knowledge and is the one most likely able to figure out what is going on and what we need to do. This is where the mission name, Exegesis, comes into play. Their conversation ends, and we talk to Ghost.
The area you have to play with is much larger than the Callous Arena, so you don't just fall off and die instantly.
What a relief to see Crow and Cayde again. That cave we found him in, where the witness tried to possess me. A malignant place like that inside the traveler feels blasphemous. That wasn't just darkness. It was reshaped by the witness, corrupted. No wonder it could project itself there. At least out here, the traveler's light still protects us. As much as it can, anyway. Michelle? Don't worry. It's not as bad.
I was literally going to point that out. I was like, are we going to explain the shattering of our ghosts? Like,
up again. Right, Guardian? Listen, the others spotted a location nearby that resembles the Io cradle. Sounds like something that would be of interest to a warlock we know.
After repeating a bunch of information, he hands us a new weapon, the Call. This is a brand new, strand-powered rocket-assisted sidearm, and in the spirit of this being a new campaign, I decided to put away my Verglass Curve as it is a primary ammo slot weapon. Tiku's replaced my Waveframe. Mara tries to contact us through the radio, but while we are able to hear her, we are unable to respond. She simply flushes out some more of the minor details.
It'd be more cool if it took up our second slot.
That's the helm signal. Mara, we can barely hear you. I'll try to boost the connection.
Hello? Does this reach you?
She can't hear us. I'll keep trying to clean up the signal.
The portal remains unstable, and your enemy has barred the way behind you. The abominations you encountered are of the witness's making. This is but a fraction of the power it now wields. Using stolen light, it has created a new army in opposition to the one the Traveler raised. Stewards of the final shape. No matter. The Coalition convenes to devise a method of dispelling the witness's interference. Title and Mithrax have promising theories. Once this desperate attempt to slow us is left broken, we will rejoin the attack. Let my voice send you now, in flight, to strike down the witness and all its followers. Go with hope and with vengeance.
As I try to load into the third mission, I'm sent back to orbit because the server is having issues. The second time around is much more successful. Our current goal is to locate Ikora's ship.
I came across some wreckage when I was scouting earlier. Dismissed it as another anomaly until Ghost described Ikora's ship. No one was inside.
Interesting.
So she's alive. We just have to find her.
Yeah, and that's always easier said than done.
I'm sending you some coordinates. You're on the lookout for something that resembles the cradle.
Pick up thing to put thing in thing. Nice. Oh, we're Duncan.
Alright, so while the dialogue played, we have our first introduction to this mission's mechanic, and that is picking up crystalline keys to act as, a key to their equivalent lock. What Crow is saying is also something we can discuss, although it's fairly obvious. The interesting fact that I would like to point out is that Crow apparently had no idea what Ikora's ship looked like before, Ghost described what Ikora's ship looked like to him, which is interesting. It's also interesting that, Crow would just dismiss it as another anomaly and not investigate it any further. But perhaps he did investigate it, and this is just shorthand for him communicating that he did indeed find Ikora's ship and there was just no one inside.
We're not the only ones looking for Ikora.
The hive already found
That was 13k.
We can handle them.
It doesn't feel like our rocket is coming out of our sidearm, but apparently it is.
Concentrated darkness.
The least we can do is put it to good use.
Alright, concentrated darkness, as Ghost puts it. These are just motes. So, if you know anything about Gambit, which you probably do, you know how motes are. They're just an object to pick up. So we've gone ahead and entered this location. It looks like something we'd see from the Dreaming City, to be honest. Taking care of some husks, the new enemies, as we see upon killing them, a parasite escapes from their body, which would explain their name. Here the husks are stuck. Some excellent AI going on. No problem Finishing off the husk does prevent the parasite from escaping their body, so as long as we finish them off, we can prevent an extra enemy that chases us down, similar to the moths. They also do just seem to bounce and explode by themselves, just doing a little bit of testing there.
The guy is getting stuck on this thing, which is really, really funny.
Nothing yet.
Alright, gonna go ahead and shoot down these branches to expose the view. Pretty epic, to be honest.
There, up ahead. We know Ikora abandoned her ship. Maybe she found something.
Maybe so, but going it alone isn't worth the risk. I learned that the hard way.
Luckily, she's got the 2 sharpest hunters in the system to back her up.
Oh, yeah. And when do they get here?
Nice little joke by Cayde there. I wouldn't be surprised that if I was a hunter, that he would have said 3. That definitely seems like something they would do as a cute little, Easter egg. This is also an introduction to the relic, which is a shield. Blocking is a hotkey I'm not used to pressing, and I think I might end up even changing what hotkey I use simply because it's bound to something absolutely weird, so it's a little annoying to use it. Blocking is also like something you'd never have to do in this game, ever. Like even with the sword. The only time I blocked was like Pit of Heresy dungeon to do the mechanic, and that's it. Here I am having a little bit of trouble trying to figure out what to do. But I have to just pick up the moat and deposit it. This unveils the path forward. We're going to go ahead and continue down.
I'll play game since the first video came out in March.
Well, I'm glad somebody's been paying attention. Me, I see 3 glowing green eyes. I open fire.
Yeah, I was like, this game is
That's right. Cayde mentions Eris, and Eris is indeed a person whose status is completely unknown to me. They were not discussed in Season of the Wish at all, so I have no idea what Eris is up to at this moment, which is interesting to now figure out what she's going to be doing, after this. I am, already assuming that we will stop the witness because, if we don't stop the witness, there is no more Destiny. So stopping the witness is kind of already an assumption you have to make. Although, funnily enough, even though the witness is stopped, there might be no more Destiny regardless. Interesting situation we are in, but that's not exactly relevant to the context of what is happening in game. I'm just beating up some enemies. It's not that difficult. Just gathering some motes. Gotta deposit the mote into the thing. Wow, very complex. Super difficult to figure out what to do, truly. It is cool to see, the physical manifestations of the concepts of light and darkness be utilized in an abstraction for whatever the mechanic we have to do. All right, contacting Destiny 2 servers. You like to see that message? It's taking me a little while to figure out what I need to do to escape this room, and, Destiny servers just might be the problem. Okay, the thing finally unlocked, so I was able to finally pick up the crystalline key in order to unlock the door. Wow. Nice. Alright, this bounded tenant is a little bit annoying because I don't have prismatic, so I do see that there are spots where keys can be found. I just need to gather enough energy for prismatic first in order to deal with this tenant though. And honestly, it's pretty easy with the build I have. Everything pretty much generates enough energy. I was pretty low, so I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and just use my super. There's not probably gonna be any other enemies for me to use prismatic against anyways. And here we are. Now we have to untangle Fount of Light and Darkness. So this is a section where we combine the Motes of Darkness mechanic and the Crystalline Keys mechanic. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up this Mote of Darkness, and I'm just going to try to find a fount to put it in. This one seems to have been correct as the path begins, what is it? The path begins with light. So it was actually probably incorrect, as the path beginning with light is probably a hint towards the fact that I need to start with light mode instead of darkness mode. Well, just jumping around. Nope, you cannot put darkness mode and light mode. These eaters of light and darkness just, taking up the place. I assume these are the ones that drop the motes. I don't know, I'm wasting a nade on it. That's just hit T, buddy. That's another darkness mote, so I mean, take it to a darkness fount. Nope. All right, this one also dropped darkness. Let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and test the darkness here. Yes, it still says the path begins with light. Just confirming what that meant. you have to make sure I test everything. Putting the crystalline key into this location. This gives us access to where a husk is, and we can go ahead and pick up a relic. Now with the relic, if we beat the bad guy with a relic, does that do anything? No. Some husks, sorry, not husks, grims occupying the air. Gonna go ahead and take care of this Inner Blind Darkness, and yes, with the shield, those darkness motes became light, so now we know it becomes it light, so we have to go ahead and test either font to figure out which one is correct. That was not the one I was to start with. So through the process of elimination, I can go ahead and pick up this light mote and take it to this light font because that is the only option remaining. So I do know that so now I have darkness motes, and I'm not sure if we do light and then darkness or if we alternate. So it's good to do some testing. The path cannot cross itself, so that's gone ahead and answered my question, I believe. So it's definitely light darkness. And since the path cannot cross itself, there's only one real location for me to put this darkness in. So we're going to go ahead and put it in this next font. And now that we know, with the knowledge that, you know, paths cannot cross, it doesn't matter because there's only other one location for me to place the light mote in. So for some reason, killing that knight made all the motes disappear. I have no idea what was going on there, but gonna go ahead and grab this one. I do mention while I'm playing this that this section is a bit slow, but I do really appreciate the introduction of all these mechanics because, especially since this has to do with Ikora and its Ikora's chapter, having to use our brain a little bit in order to, you know, progress the path forward is nice, even if the puzzle is, you know, pretty simple and straightforward. It's just good to have a puzzle to do in the first place, right? Makes you think just a little bit more, and fits in Ikora.
Oh, using both light and dark energy is what brought down that barrier.
Mara often spoke of the balance of light and dark. We awoken were made in conflict. Our connection to darkness is as ingrained as our connection to light. Not all guardians are awoken, but it does feel like we all share that conflict.
Yep, thematic introduction of not introduction, just bringing back the thematic leanings of light and darkness, and how one is not necessarily good, one is not necessarily evil, and you know, technically us beings are all made of light and darkness. It's just how we use them, and well, aspect we lean towards.
Made them light more than darkness.
Let's take a closer look.
We come across Ikora's ship, and this little location where it crashed is honestly pretty crazy to look at. Location is nice with the waterfall, the, you know, visually, aesthetically, it's pretty nice. You know, they did a really good job. Good job, Bungie level designers. I'm also making comments on how the map finally feels like it's like a proper explorable map, which is something the rest of the Destiny maps have kind of lacked, because I go back to New Muna and it's not really like a location that I think of like, you know, to explore. There's certain, you know, landmark locations, and within those landmark locations, there's one spot where stuff happens. Same thing with like Europa was pretty bad, to be honest, because it had the entirety of Reese Reborn, but there's no reason to ever go back to Reese Reborn after you complete the campaign stuff. And, you know, that location just exists and there's nothing to do there. But yes, the map finally feels pretty open. Here we see Ikora's ship destroyed, which is unfortunate. I do wonder what's gonna happen to Ikora's ship in the future.
I hope you're both safe and that you found Crow. I haven't been able to raise you on comm, so I cannot be certain. You know I am not one to be moved without evidence. How did you put it, Zavala? Scientific obstinance. But there is an uncanny sanctity to this place. I feel an impulse. I seek to commune with the Traveler myself. I sense if I reach out, it will reach back. If not here, where? Find me. I'll be at the cradle. It's just how I remember it.
All right, Ikora left a message and, you know, provides us with the goal of where we need to go. So we've gone ahead and acquired a relic, which I assume is by the Guardian, and we have to face against the Pillar of Silence. The Hive have occupied this place, so it's interesting to note that the Hive have also, you know, joined this area, which is pretty annoying for me. This Hive Ogre is a Pillar of Silence, and honestly, it's been completely remodeled. Looks pretty new. I don't know if it has like any specific new abilities, but the brand new model does look pretty intimidating. I'm able to do a lot of damage to it though, and by utilizing cover pretty well. So if we go back to the beginning of the fight, just to make sure, you know, I explain the mechanic properly, is introducing us to the power of the super from the Aegis Shield, and how the Aegis Shield is able to break these seemingly unbreakable barriers, which is the important part of the mechanic.
What do you mean immune? Okay, just fucking runs.
How did you manage to avoid it earlier?
Avoid it. Glint, how many times did you revive me? 5? 6?
12. But who's counting? Not bad. Can't be efficient, be persistent.
True.
All right, that dialogue line, reinforces the threat of the ogre because Cayde didn't ignore the ogre. He died from it many, many times, and that's the only reason he's surviving. It also reinforces the power of a guardian, right? The ability to revive that many times, or technically infinitely, is kind of insane. And you definitely have to consider that power as a part of our whole kit, right? Because if you don't deal with our ghost, it's pretty bad. Oh, I think I said Cayde. I meant Crow. My bad. Some wooden faces on this wall. They are pretty nice looking. They also contrast, the horrific faces that we saw in the witness section earlier. These more natural ones, are not really spooky, but they are cool looking. The land here has been carved up, been cubified. There's some blocks and grooves in the ground. Makes for some interesting terrain to fight on. It's just not flat on the ground. Yeah, the aim assist on this Weaver is crazy, dude. All right, rally banner section. Gonna go to enter, contacting Destiny 2 servers. You love to see it. We are in the refraction. I assume the icon of silence is probably gonna make its reappearance here. Yes, especially since we see the shield come back. This location is also, pretty fitting for an ogre. It's not that large. It has a little bit of verticality, and there is a lot of area in the middle for a giant ogre to wander about. With the shield, can't start off the fight immediately. So we're bringing back the introduction of having to kill these little knights in order to get the moats. So we've introduced more mechanics, or not more mechanics, but we've brought back a previous mechanic into this fight, which is always nice to see. It's always good to see the mechanics build upon each other. So using the knowledge we have, I know that I need to get a dark moat, and with the light and dark moat, I can go ahead and summon the Pillar of Silence. Of course, it does have its immunity shield. So now, in order to break that immunity shield, I need to go ahead and pick up the Shield of Aegis wherever I dropped it off. Luckily, I did drop it off behind some cover. Pretty lucky for me. Although picking it up is just an action, so it's not like it would have mattered too much. Gonna go ahead and destroy the shield. That gets rid of the Shield of Aegis, and now that allows me to do DPS. Gonna go ahead and pop all my stuff, drop my nade, pop Transcendence, throw my Nova Bomb, and that was the second phase instantly. I did just completely do as much damage as I possibly can. Prismatic allows me just to do unprecedented amounts of ability spam. Are you gonna go and pick up the relic and just repeat the same mechanic? A Motor Light, not too difficult to figure out. It's pretty easy to jump on across. Now we just have to repeat the same thing. Taking note of where the shield is. I'm standing right next to it. Don't want to get hit by that nonsense. I am going to go ahead and purposefully, well, I say purposefully, I just accidentally picked up the shield. And here I'm killing the dude with the shield again because I'm not paying attention. I have no idea why I did that. I'm actually just trolling. All right, finally pick up a Moat of Darkness. Gonna go ahead and deposit that. Shield is right next to me, so I don't have to go, anywhere to pick that up. Drop a turret in the middle real quick. The thralls pushing me are a little bit annoying. I don't have my super or prismatic, so I can't just burst in immediately, but I do have my edge transit. Gonna go ahead and wait for the super to build up. Not a problem. Just melee that guy pushing me. Make sure I'm in the clear. Destroy the shield. The ogre is pretty annoying. Have to be careful. Have to be right behind this bit of cover just so I don't get blasted in the air and die. Because if I'm exposed through any line of sight to the ogre, that's not gonna be good. A lot of freezing here. Edge transit. Make sure I don't kill myself with a pillar. Gonna go ahead and drop a rift. Just spam off the edge transit. It has 1 HP and it dies. Honestly, overall, not too bad of a fight. Mechanically, it was fairly simple. I do like how it brought all the mechanics together, though, even if it was fairly simple. I think the problem is that the arena needed you to run around more and to deposit more motes of light and darkness, but we didn't have to. Instead, it was incredibly straightforward. I mean, I kind of almost just messed it up, but it's not really messing it up. It's more like I was just trolling for no reason, but I was able to troll, and honestly, there was not that much pressure on me during this entire fight. Like, yeah, it just feels like maybe if there were more ads and you had to do deposit more modes and you had to deposit modes while the ogre was still up fighting at you, then there would be more of a challenge. But the fact that you had to do all the mechanics first and then you could just use the shield to get rid of the ogre's immunity and then damage it. And I don't even feel like it had that much health in total. So, yeah, overall, like conceptually good fight, and it felt like a decent fight. But you know, I definitely think it needed to be like triple the difficulty.
Wait, that fight was okay. I think I don't know if it's like not aggro enough, or if this arena just made it, or if there's not enough enemies, or what happened. But that fight was way too easy. Like actually way too easy.
Power in both light and dark.
Hey, when we fight,
It's only the first time so you know.
Ikora's strong. I'm sure she's fine.
Oh, that's good. Great. But not really what I'm worried about. I was going to ask if you think she's still mad at me.
For what?
I made a promise, and then I broke it. And I died.
All right, we stumble across the second campaign banner as we enter another clearing after, you know, Crow and Cayde have a little bit of dialogue. Cayde references a promise he broke and is wondering if Ikora is still going to be mad at him. I have no idea what the promise is. I'm not sure how Ikora would respond, you know? Like, you know, Ikora probably cares about Cayde dying because it probably sucks. Breaking a promise probably matters a lot less, but, you know, symbolically, it probably, you know, mattered somewhat. More witness voices are headed our way. Luckily, Tiki's in this situation is making fighting these Grim infinitely easier. I didn't even, you know, anticipate this being a problem, but if I had the Verglas curve, I can't exactly fire crystals in the air here while Tiki's is just automatically aiming at these bozos in the air and letting me explode them for free, which is mighty convenient. I wonder if the call would be better here, but, you know, probably not, because, you know, it's basically 2 shots with Tiki's, and sometimes Tiki's allows me to do a little bit of an explosion. But wow, there is a significant amount of Grim here, and this is actually just annoying. Yeah, I just give up because I'm like, all right, this is it's a little ridiculous. The isle is like, me shooting them is probably wasting time. I can probably take care of them more efficiently just by, you know, pushing up more and ignoring them completely, which is pretty funny. The call, you know, it's really good to have a strong single target powered special weapon about time. It's not something I've really had access to. I have had that access to like a Doom Petitioner, but that's pretty sure that's a heavy weapon. So my point actually stands. All right, a Tormentor slows down my push, but I do have my Nova Bomb, so I'm able to do a massive amount of damage. Oh, I'm getting slowed down. Oh, the freeze mid-air against a Tormentor is really good, but I really have to get out of this frost bubble. I have no idea why I'm still in there. Somehow the Tormentor hits me through a suppression. I'm going to go ahead and hit it with a Cold Snap, which is really good. Drop a turret exactly on it. Freezing it allows me to actually start doing some damage. Going to just drop a volley of my edge transit there. Unfortunately, the damage outside of the freezing shots are not that much. But yeah, these Tormentors, really annoying. If only there was a way to deal with their blast immunity. Too bad I have no idea that is still a possibility. Luckily, the Tormentor is pretty far away. I'm not sure if using the call is any good here compared to Tiki's or even like a Waveframe, but get distracted by the butterfly real quick, no problem. But yeah, lucky, you know, I am able to play at a distance, and the Tormentor didn't chase me down too hard, which is good. But yeah, Tormentor is definitely the enemy type I struggle with the most. They are quite annoying, mainly because of my weapon choices, right?
I really feel like, honestly, the problem is like there's just not enough enemies, so I'm using these abilities on like 3 enemies like
From the
that.
Traveler.
Ikora was not that far off, huh? Just right here.
Guardian. I thought that maybe here, maybe the Traveler might give me some sort of guidance, as it once did for the Speaker. I closed my eyes and I opened my heart and mind. I think I heard it screaming.
So did we, when we came through the portal.
This place.
We know.
The witness infecting the Traveler. Darkness combined with light. I wish Osiris could see it. He was always ready with a hypothesis. But here's mine.
I hope this is part of the cutscene and not just, yeah.
The witness brought darkness into the Traveler. Everything you see
hypothesis.
here inside it is a physical manifestation of a thought made real by the light.
Interesting.
Your thoughts, mine, the witnesses. It plans to weaponize that light, reshaping reality outside the Traveler into a perfect stillness. A great silence, never changing, never dying. Imagine your greatest triumph, or your most profound regret, immortalized as a part of a universe where nothing exists except by the witness's consent. It chooses what your eternity will be, and imprisons you safely inside it. This is its promised salvation. This is the final shape. The witness sees itself as the god it wishes the Traveler was. And although the Traveler resists the witness's corruption, it and everything we know will eventually succumb. I always warned Zavala not to put all his faith in the Traveler, to save some for the rest of us. But maybe faith in the Traveler is exactly what we need. If light is powerful enough to destroy the universe, then light is powerful enough to destroy the witness.
All right, the title of the mission, Exegesis, was not subtle at all, because here in this cutscene, Ikora explains everything. There's nothing for me to explain because Ikora's words are fairly self-explanatory. Character-wise, it is interesting to note that based on, what she mentioned earlier on being someone that requires evidence to move her, it is interesting that Ikora here is now inside the Traveler and decided that this was the opportunity to commune with it. So she took this time, and what she heard, when she closed her eyes and opened her heart and mind to the Traveler, putting all her faith into it, she thinks that she heard it screaming. So there's this is incredibly vague. We saw a vision and we've heard it screaming. So I don't know what exactly it means for us, the Guardian, to have seen the vision of us wielding Prismatic. But Ikora did not seem to get any sort of vision. Instead, all she heard was the screaming of the Traveler. Unless she's just not telling us that she saw a vision, but she probably would tell us that she saw a vision. So it is interesting to note that we, as the Guardian, were the only ones to see a unique vision. We are the only ones that can use Prismatic as well. So it is interesting that we, as the Guardian, are, we are in that much of a superior position. And here at the end, Zavala was always the one to put his faith in the Traveler completely. And now Ikora thinks that maybe he was right. Maybe she also needs to just put all the faith into the Traveler in order to defeat the witness, because as of right now, our chances are not looking good.
Flexen.
Come back safe.
Okay, I mean, that's a pretty basic theory, to be honest. Pretty much lines up with everything we know.
All right, as we try to join Ikora at the campsite, I get stuck on a tree, and I take note of this hand structure. Not really exactly sure what you would call it, but hand structure works. Taking a look at the distance, the view, the sediment, and the ground, the texture work is pretty nice, pretty amazing. Contacting Destiny 2 servers, love to see it.
Omnivorous. Damn, that was way, I cannot read that at all. It was way too fast.
This isn't quite up to his standards.
Hey. I did my best, all right? Given the circumstances, I think Big Blue will forgive me. Will you?
No. It's too much. It's just too much. It's one thing for the witness to look in our hearts and minds, to conjure up our memories, but this...
Ikora, come on, look at me.
I see you.
I know this is hard. It's tough for me, too.
Tough? What do you know about tough? You were always running off to play renegade, leaving me and Zavala to shoulder all the responsibility when we were supposed to be a team.
I know. I'm gonna make it up to you.
All right.
Then you like me?
Don't get ahead of yourself. You still have a lot to make up.
Well then, we better get started.
Where are they going to, huh?
After heart to heart, Ikora and Cayde just, vanish into the ether by themselves. Like, hello, where are you guys going? Why are you leaving me behind? but musical sting was pretty nice. It's pretty wholesome reaction. It is interesting to actually see Ikora show some emotion and break down, as initially she assumes that Cayde is a phantom created by the witness, but Cayde just already comes up with his personality and proves that it's himself. I do wish to know what the promise Cayde made Ikora was. I mean, I assume it was something along the lines of being a fire team together or protecting the last city or something along those lines, because what else could they really be? It's I'm not sure that there's anything too complex going on there. But yeah, it was nice to see Ikora show some emotion for once. All it took was the death of Cayde and the resurrection, and to be in the Traveler, very, very minor, non-world shattering events, just another Tuesday. And we talk to our ghost now.
Ikora has always had a strong connection to the Traveler. I think that's why she's so confident, why she's never needed the faith Zavala has. She hasn't sought guidance like this for a long time. But this place makes you reassess what faith means to you. Ikora said our memories reshape the landscape, like the ascended plane. But here it's pure. It's not a recreation, it's a reimagining. That's why the witness is here. It needs to weather context and transform the universe into a fixed state based on what it believes we deserve. The witness thinks purpose is a static idea. Its promised salvation is a perfect ending it chooses for us. That sounds more like obsession to me. You can't bottle life.
So purpose.
You can't pin its subtleties in place.
Don't agree.
It's wild, invariable, imperfect. Like the light, it shines out in all directions, shadows and all. Commander Zavala would agree.
I mean, shadows.
Come on,
Not light, but sure.
We've got a
We can also talk about light as like causality, but
Okay, ignore whatever Streamy is saying. Light is obviously, not referring to causality in terms of destiny. Light is a paracausal force, so I have no idea why I would even think about mentioning it here in this, context. But, here Ghost is, just reaffirming the ideas and themes of this campaign and of Destiny as a whole. The witness believes that it knows what is best for us. However, Destiny is always up for ours to make.
we have Crow, and now we just need Zavala, right? And then the missions can basically really start.
So conclusive. Your body is a construct of light, even if you aren't able to wield it as a weapon.
I guess I need my ghost to do that.
The miracle that
Audio is so
made
low.
possible here, in this impossible place.
You sound like Zavala. I should be saying that the Traveler brought me back for a reason.
So I wonder if Cayde's is going to be tied to only this final shape location, the Pale Heart. Won't be able to leave outside the Traveler.
All I got is my hand cannon. No golden gun.
It's interesting that he has his gun with him.
Can I ask you something deeply personal?
Sure.
What did you see when you died your final death?
Really good question.
That ain't fair.
No, it isn't.
The light. So bright, it burned me all the way up, but I didn't feel any heat. Not a lick. I didn't feel anything, actually. Not with my body, because I left that back there. These anatonautes might call it being one with the Traveler, but I call it home. No pain. No fear. No Vanguard paperwork. That's it.
And Sundance?
She was shining there, too. You want to know a secret? I miss it. Even more than I miss you.
Interesting.
Cayde ends the conversation with Ikora by admitting that he misses what he would call heaven, as, he is eclipsed by the Traveler's light, more than he missed reuniting with Ikora or Zavala. This is just indicative of the absolute holiness of the state he was in and how much positive feelings it brought about in him, right? The term Thanatonauts is also interesting. It being a new term that I'm hearing for the first time is the only reason I'm even pointing it out. The start of the conversation is a little bit more interesting to think about, though, that isn't exactly related to the themes being discussed. Ikora being more knowledgeable in dealing with the light scans Cayde in order to, figure out the situation at hand. And even though she figures out that Cayde is indeed a construct of light, he isn't able to wield it like Cayde normally was. And it is also odd that even though Cayde was brought back, presumably by the Traveler didn't bring back, any of his abilities or, more importantly, his ghost. There's also the thought of Cayde, being a little bit jokey and like, oh, the Traveler brought me back for a reason, because, why is Cayde back? I'm sure that's a question on his mind, because it's certainly a question on ours. Ikora, says give me a better explanation, because if the Traveler didn't bring Cayde back, then what exactly did? And while we don't have any better theories, and neither does Cayde, for some reason, Cayde just feels like it's a bit off, even though he doesn't have a better explanation. The reasoning being, of course, he doesn't have his light abilities, or more importantly, his ghost. The conversation between Ikora and Cayde ends, which brings out the end of Mission 3.